Osteitis pubis, the most famous injury that we have up, the most consistent and successful also that we have in fixing. The most common mistakes made is obviously the severe end is getting your injections in. Okay, a huge amount of therapists are obsessed with focusing on the glutes, okay, and trying to increase the range of motion in the glutes. When that client is walking out, nobody's asking them, what way do you stand anymore? Are you undoing the work we're doing? Are you standing, way out? We've touched on this tons of times. It's beginning to sink in and people are beginning to cop on and try and change these little habits. Essentially, if you have osteitis pubis, okay, it is definitely not coming from below, okay? It's as simple as that. So it's not a tension coming from here. So tension comes from up above, okay? Again, we've talked about the posterior chain. We've looked at all these different issues, whether is it an anterior issue, is it a posterior issue? This is not to mention, obviously, again, we've talked about tension in videos. We've talked about the intrinsic system. There's so much to weigh up. That's an individual thing. So obviously, when you put in your assessment forms, we go through all of that stuff. But I want you to imagine if you have an old collarbone injury, okay, and it's up here, okay. So now we have a huge amount of tension, okay. So that's physically a band that you can actually feel if you go deep enough through the rib cage on somebody, through that subscap, through the pec especially. It's like a little string that is actually sitting on the rib cage. Okay, now you imagine here's your point of injury. Okay, you get stressed, the intrinsic system again kicks in, the tissue starts to ravel even more. Okay, you get angry, especially you get frustrated. All of these emotions that trigger this response, and now look, it is pulling on that tendon. Okay, when you run, of course, it's going to go bad. So I'm going to take this, as I said, for a minute, and I want to show you the effects of an old collarbone injury, or maybe a very bad shoulder you took at one point and you never got it fixed. When this athlete walks, due to this major trigger pointer issue here, when he steps with the right foot, there's absolutely no problems in the connect chain. Okay, this posture can step and the whole lot can fire in and sync. It's when they go to step with this or run with this, because the trigger point is pulling the anterior chain so much, they cannot get around to effectively do that rotation. You can see the band is actually spring loading it back, okay? So what it looks like in person is foot strikes the floor, no problem. That's where they land instead of here. Now we have this underlying tension that has not gone away, and you've been focusing for most people 9 months and longer. You may get out of it, but it will always come back. We have to find out, was it a shoulder issue? Is it an old rib cage injury? Was it a base of the skull injury that's pulling all the way down? And so on. Okay, everybody again is personal, but this is why the success is so good. We open up the thoracic spine, we completely realign as regards the posture of the shoulders. In the photos you see, there's no internal one side, there's no compression on the other side. All of those issues get fixed. And again, that's why the osteitis pubis is so successful in the clinic.